It's nice to shop around for things we like, whether it's fashion, collectibles, or anything else. But what if you traded to acquire things rather than paying for it? That's essentially what Alchemy is.
My name is John So. I am the co-founder and CEO of Alchemy Technologies. We are a trading platform, and we just recently did a proof of concept slash beta rollout at California State University in Long Beach, where we set up a 800 square foot trading post in the middle of campus. We had um, hundreds of items that we use to trade with students in the hope to promote barter and trade throughout the Cal State Long Beach campus.
So, what were your motivations behind creating the app?
For me personally, I am a very big pin trader. Like that's my guilty pleasure. I go to BlizzCon every year. I trade for 2 days nonstop, and it's probably one of the most satisfying things that I personally do as a little side hobby. I just love trading, but as we got into this project and with everything that happened with COVID and inflation and everything that people have been dealing with, it's become a bigger mission for us to kind of help people have a alternate solution, another way to kind of get the things they want without necessarily spending money. So I think it's just something that's as old as time. No one has figured it out yet. And I think we have a solution.
Where did the name Alchemy come from?
I don't know if you watch anime or not. There's a thing called Full Metal Alchemist. It's a very popular thing, but in traditional alchemy, there's these two things that kind of like the two master works. And one of the master works is, again, it's called the Philosopher's Stone, which is supposed to grant immortality. But the other thing that's really, really popular and well known is turning lead to gold. And we love that concept of, again, transforming the stuff that you've already taken value out of, the things that you don't necessarily use anymore, and transforming that to something that you do need. So we love that transformation aspect. The reason why we also went with that name too is because we wanted something that elevated barter. Like barter in general, just people think it's like just a bunch of junk, that type of thing, and not so. The stuff that we traded at the booth, the things that we traded with people, like for example, with you, we're talking about a really expensive Tech Heuer watch, and what you got back was this really high-end premium format Thanos statue from like the best collectible company on earth. So, I mean, what we really wanted to do is, again, give it something that was a little bit more slick, a little bit more elevated. So that's where the name came from.
What are your thoughts on bartering for goods and how is that reflective in the app?
What we've really discovered, and now, especially more than ever, is that, the way the system's set up now, for example, like if someone were to buy $1,000 worth of clothes, and once they've had, their time with it, whether they've outgrown them or the clothes don't fit anymore, or whatever the reason is, when that person goes and takes that $1,000 worth of clothing and takes it to like a Plato's Closet or a Buffalo Exchange, all of a sudden you're not getting as much for it. Like one, they won't take everything, but two, the pieces they do take, they're literally giving you pennies on the dollar. For a lot of things like that, it's really gratifying to see people being able to like exchange their wardrobe and get a brand new wardrobe. And that's been really good. It's just the be able to carry over the amount of money you spent and put it into something else. So like obviously food you eat and you consume, right? But like for a book, like you read a book, you get all the value of it, but it's still a good book. Same thing with a video game. You play through a video game, the video game's still just as good. So, and with clothing too, like sometimes you wear an outfit once or twice. Like a piece of feedback that we get from a lot of the people at school, it's just like, yeah, I've already worn it to a party. It's already in all my pictures. I don't want to wear the same thing. So again, you've already extracted the value of a lot of these things, but the clothes are still really good. They may not be brand new. They may be washed 2 or 3 times. Same thing with the book. It may have been read once, but again, it's just taking up space in your house. Like, why should it take up space? And why do you have to just automatically give up the money that you put into when you originally bought it? So I think that hopefully answers your question.
So, part of that also kind of promotes an eco-friendly message because stuff isn't being thrown out and it's being given to people who actually want it. So, could you tell me a little bit about this eco-friendly message in the app because you're actually recycling goods instead of throwing it away?
But I just think for people in general, we're just trying to, again, just make it more about helping them save money and get into really cool things and get really cool things. And oh, by the way, you're helping the world and stuff like that. So
Right.
like, don't get me wrong, we think about it all the time, but at the same time, I think at the end of the day, what really draws people into the booth is the idea that they can take what they have at home and transform it into something that they really want. Like, the bottom line is just like, at the end of the day, like, you're trying to like save some money. Like, oh, I really need like a new headphone, or I really wish I had a new game, right? And rather than just, but I don't have the money to buy it. Like, all my money's going to gas, or like, like the food that I'm paying for is twice as expensive now, or like 30% more expensive, whatever it is. I just think people kind of need to satisfy their own personal needs first. And like, who can blame it? Like, we're all just trying to get by, like the wages aren't keeping up with everything. And so again, you start off with that, and it's just like, okay, but then on top of that, you do like, again, the whole eco message thing.
Yeah.
Again, it's just inherent. We all feel it. We all know it. And again, good on everybody for just being able to recognize that. Like, we all feel it. So we all recognize that.
I've noticed that in the Alchemy app, it's more than just trading goods for goods. There's also a subcategory for services. So that makes me wonder, do you think that society can benefit more if we did barter for services and goods rather than just goods itself?
Barter's been around forever. We didn't invent barter, but making it digitized and online and in a way where it's effective, it's something that it's going to require trial and error. So thank you for noticing that. It's something there to kind of start the conversation. But it's kind of like with the booth that we have on campus. It was there to spark a conversation. Question number one was, the question we came in with was, would people even be willing to barter? Right. And last semester when we started, like the first 3 weeks, it was dead. No one came into the booth. No one believed it was real. And then all of a sudden you had a few people come in. We were able to adjust our message as well. And all of a sudden things started to get, then everyone just started trading on campus, and it just felt really good. Like, it really caught fire. And so I think it's the same thing with services as well. Like, it's there. It's something that we haven't leaned on yet. Like, I think mainly because we're just trying to answer like the simple questions first. Like, are people willing to barter? Does barter work? Are people trustworthy? And the answer has been yes to all of that. And so as we push along on this project, it's there, and it's good for people like you who notice it. They're like, oh, maybe I can put like, I'm willing to tutor you in math, or I'll give you art lessons, or I'll be your physical trainer. I'll teach you how to work out. Right. I think those things will start naturally happening. And again, like we use the term money, but like, what is money, right? Like, your money is essentially a stored form of your talent and your effort and your work, right? And that's what essentially money is. And so your talent, right? We talked about your talent and your work. It may not be necessarily in dollars, but you just haven't like turned it into dollars yet. So why like work for money and then use that money to go buy something? Why not just use your effort to get the thing you want exactly? So again, I think that's a bridge that we need to figure out still, but it's all along the same lines.
Was coming to this university really to kind of, like you said before, kind of to like prove your concept that bartering does work, or was there another motivation to coming specifically here as well?
Well, I think a big part of it is that I am an alumni here. And so when you're starting off anything, again, like, you don't have any contacts, right? Like, the people you reach out to, it's like everyone's busy. I totally get it. And so what you have to do when you start a company, or just anything that you're trying to do, is work the network that you already have. Like, who are your friends? Who are your connections? And so for me, when I took a step back and said, like, who do I have connections for? On a large scale, Long Beach State was one of them. When I was here, I was deeply tied into the graphic design program here. And so for me, that was just a natural start, but it was a natural step to then go say like, hey, we're partnering with the design program. Would you lend us space in the bookstore? They're like, yeah, okay, cool. That sounds like a good thing. Sounds like it's a good fit, and you're alumni, right? And for me being an alumni, working with the class and hiring people from Cal State Long Beach, again, everyone on this project was from Long Beach. So students, people who graduated, all that stuff, it just made a great story. And again, it allowed us to kind of permeate throughout Cal State Long Beach, and again, create something that was really impressive to help me get to that next phase. So it was just a natural fit.
Alchemy has basically departed from Long Beach about 3 weeks ago. What are your next business moves?
So like in fall, or we started in fall of 2021, and everything was done online. So that was the collab project with the class when we hired them. But then we launched for 15 weeks in the spring. And then when we left, like every time we leave a semester, like there's always something like challenges that we have, right? Like you get some that you reach some of the goals that you do want, and then you have some challenges than others. So for example, when we left the spring semester of 2022, like all the trading stopped, right? And again, we had this amazing activity, but now all the trading stopped, right?
Yeah.
And so for us, all the trading stopped. And so for us, like, okay, what can we do to kind of make this a little bit more perpetual, like get this off campus more? And so we're like, oh, I have an idea. How about we get some businesses in our key categories? So we have Disney pin trading, some ID pins, video games, video game geeks, clothing for our outfit, shoes, Hillary. Like we got, or like comic books and collectibles, Atomic Comics. Like we got all these businesses to kind of jump on board and put their inventory up. At the same time, like in terms of like what people are trading in, like I just felt so much better sending people to Aaron at Video Game Geeks, and he has all this knowledge about which video game is good, or like why is it good, or like, hey, this game is this game is problematic because they had a bunch of bugs. Like he has all that knowledge, which is really, really great. And so, and then on top of that, for him as well, just helping small businesses, right? Like everything's going big, like Amazon, Walmart, Target, right? But for these small businesses who just really specialize in one thing, it's just another way for them to get people in the door and fall in love with their store and kind of like build up their thing. And so for them, it's a way for them to get rid of like the inventory that hasn't been moving. So it's like, okay, you may not want to buy it because like, obviously there's this new hot game, but for your old game, would you be willing to trade it for something like this? And I'm like, yeah, I totally would. And so for them, they move stuff that they've just been sitting on, and then two, to get people into their stores. And again, they're able to like, they're experts at developing and cultivating the relationships with new customers. And it's been really heartwarming to see, again, them be able to grow their business through Alchemy. So that's been great.
Last question to you is, what is your favorite trade you have ever made or have witnessed?
Okay, I have a bunch of awesome stories.
Okay.
So I'll just go through a few because I think all of them are really, really. I think like my first, the first trade we made in the booth, after like just everyone just walked past us. And again, like when classes get out, like it's literally thousands of people walking past, and like when no one walks in, it doesn't feel good. So the first trade we made was a woman named Michelle. She came in, she wanted a Polaroid camera. So she traded 2 Nintendo Switch controllers, a couple of candles on a book, and we traded her like film and a Polaroid camera for like these things. So that first trade was always memorable. And every time she comes back in, like we always make sure we take care of her and like we give her another like package of film. Your Thanos statue was actually the first big trade. So that was actually the third trade we made at the booth. We had this huge diva statue, and a guy named Dylan came in and he's like, oh, I want that. And I'm like, I have a Thanos statue that's worth the same thing. Let's trade. And I'm like, cool. And for us, it's not about the stuff. It's about the transaction. And again, just getting trade out there. So for us, it's just like, yeah, let's do it. So that was really cool. Some really, really funny stories. So there was a guy who came in with a Pandora bracelet once, and he just wanted to get rid of it. And so he traded for a couple of items in the booth, but he just wanted to get rid of his bracelet, and he traded for a skateboard. But essentially he gave it to his ex-girlfriend. His girlfriend dumped him 3 days later, returned the bracelet. And he's like, I want nothing to do with it. Right? And so he changed it. And then on the other side of things, there's a woman who came in with a $1,900 Gucci bag. And I don't know the story behind that, but we think it's kind of on the same line. Like someone gifted to her. She wants nothing to do with that person. So she's like, give me that PS4, give me this, give me a bunch of games, give me that guitar. Like she grabbed a whole bunch of stuff.
Wow.
And that was really, really fun. It's just that look at the face, like look on their face, whether it's just like joy, happiness, satisfaction, accomplishment, or just like relief, like, oh God, I'm finally rid of this thing. Because like it's like, look, that Pandora bracelet, it's just like he could have just chucked it, right? You could just threw it in the trash, but it's like, God, I paid $150 for this, right? Like, and like especially jewelry. Like jewelry is notorious. Like, for example, like if you buy a diamond, right? You may pay like $10,000 for the diamond, but when you sell it back, you only get like $2,000 back. Like 20% is like the number that you get back when you sell a used diamond. And so, especially with jewelry, like, it's just like, I spent a lot of money on this. And for him to be able to take that and get like a skateboard and a couple other things, I think that was, I mean, it makes us feel good, right? Like, and then like someone else traded for that Pandora bracelet. And again, there's just like so many trades, like so many trades that happen in the booth. And again, like, for example, for you, you're another great story. Like you had a watch that, if I remember correctly, like your father gifted to you, but you never wore. And it's just sitting there. It's just like, all that value sitting in your closet, it's taking up space. And then all of a sudden you're like, like, you know what? I want to get into like this premium format statue game. And, you know, I'm glad we were your first entry. So,
Yeah.
I mean, again, just so many amazing stories like that. There's ones that are certainly more memorable than others. But in terms of just like favorites, again, I think I like them all in different ways. But I will say that first trade, that first person who gave us a shot really meant a lot to me. So that's one I will always remember.
So now that you know what alchemy is, let's hear what other people are saying about it.
So, hi, my name is Juliana. I have been using Alchemy since this semester in fall, around November. And yeah, I have done 8 trades so far.
Hi, my name's Maui. I've been using Alchemy for about 2 semesters now, and I have about 12 trades.
Hi, my name is Vitali, and I have been using Alchemy for as soon as it was on campus, so maybe about like 1 year, and I have done 34 trades.
Okay, hi, my name is Smith. I've been using Alchemy since it was launched, so from the very first day they started the booth on campus, and I have done 8 trades on the app so far.
So what was your first trade and what do you like to trade?
I think overall, most of the trades that I have been for enamel pins that they have at the store. I do like video games as well, but very particular about what I can get. It's pretty interesting to see what they have from time to time, but most of my collection has been for enamel pins, so it's pretty cool seeing what they have there.
So my first trade was pop sockets. They're brand new, and I just traded that. And usually I like to trade, so let's say I buy something that is not of my youth, but it's brand new. So I trade that usually in terms of fashion, jewelry, or electronics, anything that is there, and I don't want it to go to waste because I do care about being sustainable. That's the things that I trade.
I think my first trade was a small one. I traded something for a Funko Pop. I think I traded one of my old Funko Pops which I was not using for one of the ones which I wanted.
I think the first thing I remember was like, how's the name of those toys? Of the heads. I think that was one of the first.
Great. What is your favorite trade?
So my favorite trades so far I have done are like 2 purses. One of them is like a nice round purse, which is like really in trend. And one of the other purses like a nice pink color from Aldo that I got like brand new, traded.
I traded bunch of, I think, my Nintendo Wii for a Polaroid camera and a controller.
And my favorite trade was a book I got, but I'm very into that book right now, so I'm enjoying it a lot.
Recently, I stumbled upon an old Game Boy, a Game Boy Advance that had something wrong with it, but I have a little bit of knowledge in how they work, so I was able to repair it. So I was able to get a full Game Boy for myself that I was able to repair, and now it works. I have it in my car still.
So how helpful has your trades been in saving you money since you didn't spend money to get what you wanted?
Yeah, definitely. If we are just talking about my favorite trade, that just saved me like more than $100 because the controller I think was more than 50, and I'm not sure about the price of Polaroid, but it is also pretty expensive.
Well, it saved me money for something I wanted, like the book I was mentioning.
Going off of the Game Boy itself, nowadays for something like that in the condition that it was, is probably runs about $200, $300 on its own. And the only thing that was really rock with it was a battery. So since I had a spare, I could scrap it and use it for that. And most of my enamel pin collection has gone on for quite a while, so that's probably been another $100 on its own.
My trades have really been helpful just because the things that I traded were usually there in my home that I bought at some point and thought I wouldn't be using it, but I did end up using it. And those are the things there where you don't want to throw them away just due to being sustainable. And, it would be waste to throw it away rather than to give someone. And I didn't have that someone to give. And Alchemy came, so I traded it with them, and I pretty much saved a lot of money.
What do you like about Alchemy compared to other commerce apps?
Oh, well, I don't have experience in other shopping apps or like trading, but I like that it's very easy to trade in the app. So it's very like intuitive, like you can do like all the process very like fitting.
Personally, I think it's because it's local. It's something that's right here within my community. And since I'm already here at school, I could just scavenge a couple things. before I come to school, and I can just trade it while I'm here.
Mainly the community and the people running the Alchemy app. So like when I first went to the booth, they're like super friendly, and I've been to the booth like multiple times because I work nearby, so I just used to roam around and meet them from time to time.
About Alchemy, I think it's very like friendly app. The owner really interacts with different people. The owner makes sure that your voice is being heard, and gives you a chance to trade literally anything. Like you could have the smallest thing and trade it and get even stickers, or you could trade really big thing and get like a penny board or something big, depending on. And they have really nice. So when you go in for trading, they know what to price it nicely according to the market, and they don't rip you off. Whereas other apps, they try to they have a lot of regulations. They try to rip you off. And compared to Alchemy, it's not like that. It's really friendly. You can negotiate. And it's the number one thing is it's in person. It's not through the app. It doesn't feel like, it's a normal app.
Alchemy has a lot going for itself. The whole concept of trading for what you want and giving new life to belongings into new hands that will want it is just nice on a lot of different levels. It's easier on your pockets. It's easier on the planet. It's easier for you to acquire things. It's just nice overall. So if you like what Alchemy has established, I encourage you to check it out. Links will be in the description. Thanks for watching.